Hello, welcome to Match of the Day 3. Mark Lawrenson and Michael Owen are with me after another eventful Premier League weekend. Was Chelsea's win over Manchester City the result of the weekend for you?
I think it has to be that and the Sunderland win over Newcastle. I think they were two big wins. I looked at the game between Manchester City and Chelsea thinking whoever wins this are going to be promoted to title favouritism, and obviously Chelsea, somewhat fortuitously, got the noses in front and got the big 3 points.
How big a defeat is that going to be for City?
It's a big defeat because not just the nature of conceding the goal in the very last few minutes, and of course Joe Hart, another massive mistake from him, but also the fact that they probably thought they'd rectified their away form with the win at West Ham last week, and now of course they've been beaten again today. So I think the thing about that as well is generally away from home they've been really, really poor.
Why do we think that is? Why? I mean,
well, they've had 6 different partnerships at centre-back. That's the first thing, and I don't care what you say, and you play in that position, you've got to know what your partner's doing. And there are occasions, certainly, against Chelsea where they were absolutely all over the place. But they miss company. We all know they miss company. But the problem with company now is he seems to be actually missing more games than he's playing. And it's a real problem for them.
And it makes it all the more baffling because they are so strong at home.
Oh.
I mean, I can't see them getting beat at home this season. They're that strong. But away from home, they look soft.
It just doesn't matter. If a team has an aura like that, you'd expect them to have an aura on the road as well as in their home game.
I just think that they're actually too easy to get at away from home, Mark. That's a problem.
The other thing that came out of the game at Stamford Bridge was the performance of Fernando Torres. We spoke about it a lot on Match of the Day too. Ollie Parks has tweeted us to ask, do you think that Torres will ever regain that form that he had at Liverpool? Is it as simple as that, or is he a different type of player now?
I think he's a similar type of player. He's not had any major injuries that has made them change his game in that respect. Is he going to be as good as he was? I don't think so, but I mean, he can get a hell of a lot better than he has been over recent seasons, and recent games he's been performing, to a much higher level. He's just got that bit between his teeth. He looks as if he's aggressive now. He's almost getting in trouble with the referee a lot as well. And I mean, I don't condone fouls or free kicks and things like that, but he's getting booked. He just looks an angry man, and I think that's helping his game.
I think, and it sounds strange after what Michael said, he's a player who needs to be loved. I think he also is a player who needs to be one of the top players and think he's going to play in the team every week. In the last 3 games, he started to look something like... And I don't know, I thought he'd lost half a yard of pace, but certainly against City, it looks like he's got a little bit of pace back, which is, for Chelsea, it's a big, big thing, because I'm not sure Etiou's ever going to be the same player, because I think his legs are gone, in all honesty. Don't think Mourinho fancies Demba Ba. So it's going to be a problem if it wasn't Torres stepping up to the plate, but... I think his last 3 appearances for Chelsea have been excellent. And also, I think he hasn't played consecutive games, and Mourinho's used him in the last 2. It's as though Mourinho's gone, whoa, actually, he's taken me by surprise now.
Let's talk about the Andre Villas-Boas interview that we had on Match of the Day too as well, where he talked about the atmosphere at White Hart Lane and was critical of the fans, saying they had to up their game. Can it really make that much difference to you players? Well,
it can, and it's often a gripe in dressing rooms, managers and players. You come in and say, "Oh, fans didn't help us today." It's often that you feel as if you need them to get behind you, and obviously if you ask a fan, they'll say, "Well, give us something to shout about, and we'll sing." But if you can help each other, obviously get off to a quick start, get the fans up. But it makes such a difference if your fans are behind you, and quite evidently at White Hart Lane today they weren't.
And as a player, you can only speak about obviously the time when you play, but at Liverpool, when we were winning everything, honestly, it'd be like a library play at home, and they expect you to be 4-0 up after 25 minutes, and if you weren't, they're groaning, all the piemen in the Kemlyn Road stand, they're all groaning at everybody, and then occasionally you'd go 1 down, and they'd suddenly realise, thinking, crikey, they're not at it today, they need a little bit of help, and all of a sudden you'd have this roar, and it'd be, whoa, where have they come from?
And you were playing at a time where the grounds were old and a little bit more ramshackle. I'm not being disrespectful,
you're right,
but old and
absolutely.
ramshackle, and a lot more atmospheric. I mean, you played...
standing, I think standing made a difference.
And you played at a different time where we saw a lot of new stadia. I mean, we had a tweet come in from Ollie saying... after AVB's comments about atmosphere, should grounds have allocated support zones? But the thing is, actually, White Hart Lane's one of the old style grounds.
Wait a minute, didn't Manchester United have a singing section last week?
They did, yeah. They had a singing section for the European Cup game against Real Sociedad.
That is some statement.
Yeah.
For any club.
Or what was bizarre about it was it wasn't in the Stretford end. It was in a corner tucked away at the opposite end, which I thought was...
Maybe put the choir in there, was that what it was?
Surely you would have it behind a goal in your main home end.
Yeah, but I mean, after, you know, happenings of the past, we don't want to go back to anything that's unsafe, and quite evidently having seated stadiums is safer. But they do it in certain countries, have sort of controlled areas, little patches of the ground that are standing still. No doubt it does create a better atmosphere.
Looking at the bottom, you mentioned Sunderland's win over Newcastle. Gus Poyet told us, didn't he, that it's a game that could change Sunderland's season. That's how he sees it. Yeah,
I mean, it was a massive win for Sunderland. They had to win today. And they did. And Newcastle, you know, they're a strange team this season. It's, you know, all or nothing for them. I've seen them perform really well at times, but then seen them be really drab. I mean, first half against Everton a couple of weeks ago, I don't think I've seen a worse performance for a long, long time. But from Sunderland's point of view, massive win. That should get, you know, once that stadium's rocking, we talk about fans getting behind it. And there's a, you know, and they've got Fletcher back now. He's their one player that you can see goals in, because they don't score enough goals. But now he's back and on song, then, you know, you can hopefully...
There's a chance?
Big win. Well, yeah, it's a big win for the dressing room. It's a big win for Gus Poyet, because obviously he's been on the training ground with him, he's been coaching them, etc. And all of a sudden they'll start to believe in him. And, you know, we've spoken about this before. I didn't think that in terms of the dressing room you needed to do much, you know, because of what Di Canio was doing to it. And I think straight away it'll be lifted. But tell you what, it's the problem, as Michael says, goals. Goals are the problem for them. If
you think there wasn't a great deal that needed doing, bar changing the morale in that Sunderland...
Well, no, well, sorry, but let me clarify that, because I don't think the team are good enough. But what I'm saying, it didn't take much doing to get the morale going.
Yeah, because Liam Goodhue goes on to Crystal Palace and says, what could a new manager do at Crystal Palace with that current crop?
Well, it'll improve them straight away, won't it? Because that's what happens with managers. You get that honeymoon period, as everybody says. Apart from that, it's very difficult to know. And I just, you know, reading some of the stuff from Ian Holloway today as well, it sounds as well as some of the players he's signed aren't particularly interested in playing, which is bizarre. They're in the Premier League, but just reading between the lines, it was absolute chaos.
And Crystal Palace are like Sunderland without Fletcher. They can't score goals. They've just got no players that are going to score enough goals to keep them up. Simple as that.
Well, that's ended it on a low note.
There'll be 200 applicants for the job, mind.
Well, at least. More, probably. So sorry about that, Liam Goodhue. Next time you tweet, we'll try and end on a positive for you. Thanks for all your tweets. We'll respond to them every week on Match of the Day 3. We'll see you next week.